chance to look at the minutes? If everybody has, can I get a motion to adopt the minutes from the previous meeting?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. So we'll move on to our public hearing. Local law, to the non-local law, the town code section 320-32A sub 3 to increase the maximum lot coverage from a maximum of 30% to a maximum of 50%. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll move it. I'll second it.
So we'll open the public hearing at 7:03. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the proposed local law? Mr. Rowe.
Tom Road, 1405 Greymore Way. This only applies to one property, correct, in the town of Lysander currently?
But we have an additional industrial zone parcel on the west side of 60 Road, immediately south of Church Road, the Church and Henkel Road intersection.
If you look at
One
the,
additional.
if you look at the map, right in the center of the map, the purple, there's you can point them out.
This one and this one it would apply to. This parcel is a junkyard that's already developed, and this parcel is already developed. That's a parcel on the corner of 631, the 631 bypass and 31 here.
Okay.
So those are the only spots that it would apply.
Okay. Sewer and water connections to that property would be made? Is
Yes,
that?
at the expense of the developer.
Okay. And would those, I don't know if this is a planning board issue, would those be able to go past Church Road if sewer and water is brought down to there? Is there capacity?
That is absolutely a planning board issue, but it would be, as you know, in the town of Lysander, future development or new development is not funded by the town, it's funded by developers. So right now, our current zoning is not conducive to having large-scale residential subdivisions in that agricultural zone adjacent to this parcel.
Okay. And if sewer and water would be brought to that industrial park, the county is fine providing those services?
We're meeting with them tomorrow morning, but at this point in time, it looks like they are.
And I guess my other question is, to change these two parcels, which nobody's done anything with for many years, could someone apply for a zoning board variance, or would this just be easier to take care of these two properties by amending a town law?
I think the more concise way to do it is to do it with a town law.
Okay.
If you look at our surrounding towns, we want to be competitive with our surrounding towns in Onondaga County in order to bring businesses into our town. So if you look at the town of Clay, their building lot coverage is 60%, and it can go up to 75% if there's industry on all sides. Town of Gaddis is 60%, town of Van Buren is 50%, town of Saline is 50%, and town of Elbridge is 75%. So I was just informed today, I had a conversation, and like in Batavia, apparently Samsung is looking to go in there, and that's Batavia is one of 3 sites left that are in the running. We want to be in the running for those type of things, and in order to be in the running for that, we need to have larger lot coverage than we already do, just like all the other surrounding towns.
Okay. My next question, just if we change this, would future boards be able to adjust and make an industrial zone on the other side of Church Road? Because now that corner is developed, or would that always stay AR?
I mean, the town board always has the option to go through the zone change procedure, and then make something that they would choose to do simply because of the limited industrial acreage that we have.
But we have a comprehensive land use committee that has a number of residents that represent a pretty good cross-section of the community that are looking at those type of things that you're talking about right now. So what we would do is take a look, I mean, hopefully any town board, I know we will, take a look at what that comprehensive land use plan is suggesting and use those recommendations in any type of decisions we would make moving forward.
Okay. I know that's currently been used for farming, agriculture for years. Comprehensive land use plan, even though it's zoned industrial, have soil samples been done? Is it good land? Is it better off being created industry, or?
Well, that's been in industrial, been designated industrial area, and we were talking, I think, since 1968, right, Ms. Montgomery?
We're not
When we were
changing the
looking
zone.
1968.
No, I understand that, but you're changing the demographic of that area. By allowing, ultimately, if this gets approved tonight, something will probably be built there that
That's-
hasn't been there for,
That's what we're hoping,
100
because that property has been designated as industrial for decades, and nobody has been able to build on it, I would imagine, or, you know, for one reason or the other, not been able to, or decided that they didn't want to. Now we want to make sure that we're competitive with the other towns, and we would like to bring in some type of industry in that area because we need to increase our tax base in some way. We don't, residents don't want to keep paying increased revenues, and that's one of the ways that we can help mitigate any tax increases moving forward. And we only have two small, well, they're not small, two portions of industrial area designated. So it's not like we're taking up the whole town where it would become an industrial park, the whole town of Lysander.
no, I do understand that, but as I just asked, you know, if something gets built there, there isn't something right around the corner like a lot of other industrial areas where if it's someplace that employs hundreds of people, they need to go somewhere for lunch. So maybe that opens up across the street of somebody applies to the town board and wants to change something that was agricultural to an industrial or a different zone to allow, you know, McDonald's or a fast food market or something along those lines. And then you start pushing development into areas that might have been better agriculture, you know. But I understand we have our comprehensive land use plan. I think it's been limited because of the 30% rule has probably turned a lot of other businesses away from wanting to develop it. That's all. I mean, the 30% rule was probably thrown out there for a reason, to limit development.
And we couldn't find that because we did try to find out why that was done. Because prior to, I think it was 1988, that was established as 50% lot coverage. Then for some reason it was changed. But we can't find that. We couldn't find it. Our town clerk was researching that. We couldn't find it in our archives up till now. It wasn't on the state website where it's supposed to be when they changed that. So right now we don't know what happened or why they did it. But moving forward, that was a decision made in the 80s. I think moving forward, we have to look at contemporary issues and determine if that's what we want to do today.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
My name's Roger Haskins Jr. I live nearby one of the areas you guys are talking about proposing 50% build a large warehouse. I live on a well that's a hand dug. You guys are planning on making development, turning that whole land to asphalt, big building. Have you guys looked into changing, adding on water down 48? Because you're gonna change the water table and the graphics of where the water is heading. Because I now have problems because you guys had a business on the other corner, storage facility. I ran out of water because he built there. I'm at the lower end of that hill. That is actually climbs downward. I'm worried now I'm gonna get salt on my water because you're gonna have all asphalt. They're gonna salt it in the winter time. Summertime, you don't have the rain going, you know, into the ground. Have you guys looked into adding water down 48 for the people that live next to that zone area?
The answer to your question is, not since I've been here, in the year I've been here. I can't speak to what the previous town boards have done. I don't know.
There was a proposed water district in your neighborhood that didn't appear to have public support to extend water up 48.
Yeah, I came to the meeting on that one. That was all the way down 48 Lansing
Yep.
to the backside of Phoenix, because Phoenix was having a little water pressure out there throughout. I'm talking because you're gonna change this and the building wants to put a big warehouse right there on Hinkle and 48. I live right down the road. There's 5 houses right in that area. Have you guys considered looking into, you guys, because we're all on wells right there.
As part of the planning board review process, we'll certainly look at that and as part of the seeker review requirements.
Okay, that's the only question I had. I don't mind a business, more development, help out the economy. Hey, I'm for it. I'm just worried about my well.
Yep. Understand.
But as Mr. Yeager said, it's all part of the planning board's process. They'll look at all of that, and then they look at, there's wetlands back there too. So they have to make sure that they mitigate any of those issues that you're talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's part of the process when you have wetlands in the back, and that whole area is covered by wetlands. So where you're at, that should be mitigated when the builder comes in, to make sure that that doesn't happen. That's part of the secret process. Anyone else?
Is there any kind of a timeline? I mean, I know you obviously, there's somebody that you have in mind here. Like they say, do you know about when or
Well-
how many jobs, that type of thing?
Well, we don't have anybody that has given a proposal for that property yet, but, so I really don't want to speak at
Okay.
what the timeline is. But we certainly want to make it a viable location for somebody to come in and utilize that. Anyone else? How about from the board? Some people on the board had some.
Well, I don't know if it's the protocol is to speak at a public hearing. Is it? I mean, I can speak at this point. I was gonna speak after it came up as a resolution to vote, but I don't care when I speak.
Oh, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. All right.
I'll speak to that.
Yeah, sure. All right, if there's nobody else, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Public hearing's closed at 7:15. We'll move on to citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens that would like to speak to us?
Kevin Road. I see on the agenda that there's another rate of pay. Is that just oversight from the organizational meeting? or-
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I was wondering a couple of things, the status of the house tear down at the park.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the grant to come through. The grant, as far as we know, that's still moving forward.
Yeah, we actually spoke with Senator, the new state senator, new state, Manning, there we go, put out his name. We've been in coordination with his office, and he is championing getting the dormitory authority to get us our grant disbursement agreement. So hopefully, we'll have that money in the near future.
Okay. How is, I know the workers at the town voted to unionize a while back, is that moving forward?
We're in negotiations.
Okay. The wet presentation that we had a half hour ago, my one question was, I, you know, what's that stand for?
Inflow and infiltration.
Okay. Now, we have separate stormwater system here for, I think, the town of Lysander in certain areas. So do we not fall into that for the most part, or do we have places that there's an issue?
So we do have some places that we have issues. Do we have significant issues? No. The village of Baldwinsville has some significant issues, and that's just a result of the age of the sewers. The sewers in the village of Baldwinsville are much older. They're all old clay tile sewers. As you saw in the presentation, 92% of our sewers are PVC, and they are tight, and we don't have a big inflow and infiltration problem. With that being said, our sewers are going to be old sooner or later too. And having the entire county contributing to that maintenance and rehabilitation effort will benefit the local residents of the town of Lysander.
I've been preaching consolidation for years on special districts, but I think it's a great idea. I just hope that all the other towns, we don't end up paying for their lack of taking care of things over previous years. The one thing they did bring up that I didn't hear in the presentation is about the dry sewers.
Mm-hmm.
If we do go through this consolidation, would we connect those sewer, how,
It would just
I heard him talk about it.
would not- So the county is not proposing to construct any additional sewer mains as part of this consolidation. Development would continue as it has in the town of Lysander, with new development, developers providing infrastructure for new developments. For those dry sewer communities to be served with sewer service, we would need infill development to get the sewer mains to those neighborhoods.
okay? And just so I understand, being in Radisson Sewer District, if we consolidated, any major repairs would just end up going into the lump sum of what the county pays, there would be no
Correct.
more separate districts?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, that's it.
Anyone else? Supervisors' comments? Have any tonight? Town board comments? Mr. Kudrowitz.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for coming out. It's nice to see some new faces here in the crowd. Other than that, I'll stick to the agenda tonight.
As well, I'll stick to the agenda. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and for your comments tonight. Thank you very much.
You know, we've had more people here tonight than I've seen in a long time, so this is exciting. But I also want to thank GBC. They did a great job with their presentation earlier today. So if they're watching, thank you very much for coming.
Department head reports, Mr. Yeager. Mr. Rivas-Igno. Call.
Just one thing, Timber Banks and Tassones renewed their liquor licenses for the year, so when they come out, I usually make a report about that.
Okay.
And then that's all.
We'll move on to the regular agenda items. I have a motion to adopt local law number 1 of 2021, amending the Town of Lysander Code section 320-32A sub 3 to increase the maximum lot coverage from a maximum of 30% to a maximum of 50%.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Well, I have some concerns about this resolution, and I want to thank Kevin Rode for taking some of the words out of my mouth, and so I'll just reiterate what Mr. Rode had to say. I'm sitting here in 2021 wondering why the town of Lysander, in our predecessor's wisdom, changed it or kept it at 30%. And without a lot of discussion, because of the economic benefits that we're anticipating with the new tax dollars, we're about ready to change it, just like everybody else did, apparently in Onondaga County. We're trying to mirror what other towns are doing in the county, from going from 30 to 50. I know other towns are even bigger than that. But my concern is, are we opening potentially a Pandora's box? What was the reason for 30%? Maybe the reason for 30% was the town didn't want to see a massive warehouse or some construction of that type in that community, in that area. And at a 30%, in a 30% parameter, you would be limited to how big an area a building you could build. And that might have been precisely why the town of Lysander had the 30%, and what the 30% would in fact continue to dictate in terms of how big a building would be there. And then secondly, I do worry about precedent. I worry about that building is there, and those 200 or 300 employees are going to want to get a cup of coffee or go out for lunch. Across the street is not zoned commercial or industrial, but there's nothing to stop anybody from coming to the planning board, I forget what the protocol is, or the town board, say, we'd like to put a McDonald's there to serve all of those folks there. And then all of a sudden, you start changing the character of the town of Lysander. And I don't think I'm the sole voice in saying this, but the town of Lysander has a certain feel and a certain look that I'm leery and wary of saying that, well, the 200 or 300 jobs and all those new tax dollars, they outweigh everything. In my mind, they don't. And if anything, and then I heard today, and this was the first, and thank you back there because I don't know your name, what about well water? What about the 5 to 6 residents who live around there? If we vote on this, I don't want to guarantee that we'll be aloof to those concerns, but I worry about what will happen to the water table, and I didn't know that that was an issue. And it seems to me all of those things ought to be worked out before we come to this board and say change it from 30 to 50. I want to know for sure that we're not going to have to worry about development requests for across the street or even further into the agricultural area of the town of Lysander. And that's why I can't support this tonight. I just can't. And that's my position at this point. And I'm hoping, I don't know what the protocol is, but if you've got something to say in retort to what I just said, I'm more than happy to hear it, because I'm hoping I'm making the right decision.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make my position as well. I share Bob's opinion on overdevelopment in the town. I think one of the greatest things about the town of Lysander is that we have a rural, agricultural feel. I joke with people and say we're 15 minutes away from Wegmans, but we don't have the same traffic that some of our neighbors have. While I say that, and my voting record has been very clear since I've taken office, I think that this is a great opportunity. We need to be encouraging businesses into this community. We don't have businesses lining up in the town. I wish we did. But I can only think of a handful that have really come in since I've been in office. Raising the capacity from 30% to 50%, I don't think it's the end of the world. But I do think that those potential 300 jobs could do a lot to this community. It's definitely going to do a lot to those 300 people that are looking for work. We're in a pandemic right now. People are hurting to find work. And if we could offer 300 people a job, I think that's a huge benefit. So I don't have a problem supporting this. I understand that there's concerns. I know the planning board will do a thorough job, but I also think that there are times when there could be paralysis by analysis. So I have no problem voting to support this tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I can answer this. For starters, I have similar questions to Bob as in why was this originally set up as 30%? Or actually, why did it go from 50% to 30% and now back? So I want to thank Ms. Falcone for doing a little research and trying to find out. Unfortunately, we don't know.
Actually, Karen Rice also did the research and Al too.
All right, if you see before I do, you probably will. Thank you for it. Thank you. But that being said, we don't know why. And there are a lot of what-if scenarios that we go through. And we all, every one of us, and I know Bob Jurowski, you realize this, we all hope that we're making the right decisions, but we don't always know. In this situation, I don't see this as being a scar on our town. If I did, then I would definitely vote no. But at this point, the way our town is currently set up, with our club in place, the way the club is in place, with the agricultural land protected in other ways, this particular change, I support.
Anybody else?
I have an additional question. Did you have something?
No, I'm good. I'm in favor of this.
With a 100-foot setback, as I understand the code requires, correct? How tall of a building could be erected on that site?
Bob, just for clarification, that 100-foot is the minimum setback. The planning board has the discretion to have further setbacks.
Okay.
That's just a minimum number.
Well, I don't know what the planning board's gonna do, Jack, and I don't mean to sound discourteous, and you know me better than that, but whatever setback is negotiated, how tall of a building can be put on site?
So the current code reads it as a 1-to-1 angle or 45-degree
45
angle
degree pitch.
from the road to the high, where the setback line is, and that would be the highest the building could be. So if it was 100 foot, it would be a 50-foot tall building. That's the long and short of it. Would be the maximum height.
So it's about 3 times the size of a regular house, the height of a regular house. Okay, so a squarish type building 3 times the size of a regular house could be on that corner.
Or higher. I mean, they can go to the ZBA and ask for variance. I mean, that is certainly allowed under our code, and I'm sure the ZBA would consider a variance like that.
So it's potentially even higher than 50 feet. And I guess that's all part of my concern. I mean, we're opening up the floodgates here if we pass this, and I guess we're gonna pass it. But we don't know what's gonna be there. At a minimum, it could be, you know, if I was the developer and I was building a warehouse, I'd wanna build as big a warehouse as I can possibly build on that site, because you're not building again, you're building once. And maybe, if anything, my words, since I'll be outvoted tonight, my words will just convey to the planning board, will you just be careful here, and that visual and sight lines and all of that are really important. And there's no promises that can be made about what future petitions are sent to the board or the planning in terms of variances for, or changing zoning for across this, or beyond that particular corner. But, you know, this is what happens in so many other towns in Onondaga County. You know, the little store turned into the McDonald's, which turned into this and this and that. And that's when you drive down Route 31 in Clay, that's what you see. And I just don't want to see that in the town of Lysander. I'll be a broken record if I keep talking.
If you get, this isn't like 60 years ago when our grandparents went to work and they had a lunch pail and brought their lunch with their soup and their peanut butter sandwich. Most people today, they order out. So we have a business district in the village that we want to keep vibrant. I think most people like going downtown here. It's a nice community, it's vibrant, and we want to keep it that way. If we have additional several hundred jobs at a facility, where are they going to buy their lunches? Where are they going to get their dinners? They're probably going to order. They're probably not going to order from a McDonald's. They're probably going to order from the village, because we have some nice restaurants in the village. And in fact, all of the restaurants in the village. We have Italian, we have, now we have Mexican, there's all types of restaurants that they can frequent right now. So there's really no need to get anything else other than what we already have. It's just down the road. So that will stimulate those businesses down there. And on top of that, there's probably people in the town of Lysander that could use a decent paying job. So it would help the local economy and help the local residents maybe find a job that they didn't already have. If you look at that map, then 2/3 of it right now is totally green. I don't see that changing anytime soon. That it just isn't going to happen. The development isn't there. So in my lifetime, that's probably going to look that way. So there's no way we're going to be a Clay or a Cicero, because Clay and Cicero doesn't look anything like that. So as far as keeping what we currently have, to put a business or put any type of industry on there, we aren't opening up Pandora's box. All we're doing is allowing a more wider variety of businesses that could be attracted by that property being enhanced, so. Anybody else? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, Mr. Drossy opposes. 4 ayes, 1 no, ayes have it. May I have a motion to authorize the town supervisor to sign the polling place agreement between the town of Lysander and the Onondaga Office of the Board of Elections. This agreement is for a 5-year term.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. May I have a motion to approve the 2021 hourly rate for Cindy Halstead at $16.67 per hour.
I'll move it.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. May I have a motion to set the punch list security requirement for the Whispering Oaks Phase 4, Section 2 subdivision at $36,000 per the town engineer's letter dated January 29, 2021.
I'll move it.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. May I have a motion to set the required maintenance security guarantee at $98,550, 25% of the project value per the town engineer's value of improvements estimate included in the letter dated January 29, 2021.
Supervisor, we just need to add to set the required maintenance security guarantee for the Whispering Oaks 4, Section 2.
Say that again.
Whispering Oaks 4,
So it should be Whispering Oaks 4.
Section 2 subdivision.
At the end, correct?
Right after guarantee for the Whispering Oaks.
Oh, okay. I never read that again. Okay, the motion will be to set the required maintenance security guarantee for the Whispering Oaks Section 4, Whispering Oaks 4, Section 2 subdivision at $98,550, 25% of the project value per the town engineer's value of improvements estimate included in his letter dated January 29, 2021.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, this is so the developer has completed installation of the roads and utilities. He will be coming back in front of the planning board for final plat approval. The security, the banks like to see a resolution setting the security guarantees before they issue the letter of credit for these projects.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Any new business from the board members? Okay, we're going to need to have an executive session tonight in order for Councilor Kudaraskis and I and Mr. Resigno to bring the town board up on the current negotiations and the status of that. So may I have a motion to move into executive session at 7:35?
I'll move that. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move into executive session at 7:35.